it was a thing. So like I got it the day before and I went through the system and it was way more in depth than like the Mark III or the fucking.
That's a 60D.
Yeah,
that was for video at first.
I had a 60D, I had a 60, I had a fucking 5D3. I started on an XTI. Like I recently posted all that stuff on Instagram. That was all fucking 10 years ago on an XTI, dude. I rocked that camera for 7 fucking years.
Well, I learned early that it's kind of at a certain point, it's the work with what you got. Just make it work, and then it just kind of goes from there.
Yeah, man. Like, and I have also am a big firm believer that like, look, if you're renting, rent equipment, like test the waters, see what you like, see what you don't like. Instead of like spending $8,000 on all these fucking R lenses that everybody else has or whatever, or L lenses that everybody else has, right? Like instead of doing all that shit, like, dude, test, like, buy yourself a fucking nifty 50, buy yourself like the cheap zoom that comes with it, or get yourself like a medium and a telephoto or a medium and a wide. You don't have to spend more than like $300 or $400.
There's a lot more. There's a lot figuring out like your style, your look, how you frame, all these things that don't have anything to do with the quality of the equipment.
None. And like the beautiful thing about things like processing engines like Lightroom and Capture One is at the end of the year, and like I did this for years, is like I would go through and see. You can go back and check what lenses you shoot the most.
That's right.
You can break it down, and you've got actual concrete numbers of images, dude. A quick couple fucking math lines later, you've got a percentage. And you can say to yourself, okay, so in 2020, 2021, 2022, like I shot 50% of my work was all done on a 35 millimeter lens. And I rented it. How much did I rent it? Right? And you're like, okay, so.
I got it. I see where you're going.
And here's my
with this.
thing. If I rented enough in 2 years to buy the goddamn thing, I buy the goddamn thing because I'm going to use it.
Yep.
Why would I keep renting it?
Smart
Then I'm
way to look
wasting
at
money.
it.
Yeah,
it's
like,
very mathematical, very practical.
break it down, make it practical. Like, how does it make sense for my business? Like, do I need like that? So the 28 to 70 zoom I'm talking about, it's a fucking $3,000 lens. It's more than the camera, right? But I'm thinking to myself, but like, also it's f2. I don't usually shoot wider than f2 unless I'm going for something like it's a wedding.
Right.
I would never turn in.
Super
I would
milky.
never turn in commercial work that's lower than an
Need
f2.
more
Ever.
depth. Right.
Because like, dude, anything below 2, it becomes paper thin.
You can even like separate a face with some focus in f2, f1,
Yeah.
lower than f2.
Yeah, and dude, if
2.8.
if you shoot f2 on an 85 millimeter, you're doing a portrait. You're talking paper thin focus.
Paper thin.
Like if you
Eyeball
look at,
one in focus, eyeball other.
And if you study like Miller Mobley, who's like a portrait photographer, if you study Andy Leibowitz's stuff, fucking I just forgot his name, but like all these other like old experts, like dude, they were shooting shit at like 5, 6, 8, 11, sometimes 4. And
4 is about as low as I'll go when I'm doing like people.
Right.
And that's only if it's like a very controlled setting. I'm usually doing like closer up on the face, and I kind of want that little bit of separation of focus in the face.
But like somewhere in like the last 10 years, like the bokeh, whatever the hell you call it, like it became like this really prominent thing specifically for like event photographers, wedding photographers, whatever. And then like everybody started chasing this aesthetic. But I'm like, yo, for what I do, sure, on my personal stuff, I'm all about it.
Right.
If I want to do a really, shallow depth of field portrait that like I'm trying to
That's
mimic.
a much slower thing though than like a wedding where it's like you got to be able to shoot and not worry about.
Like I just don't have like, so that's why I'm like, man, this 28 to 70, yeah, but like it's 28 to 70 at f2. So like if I wanted a 50, I got a 50. If I wanted a fucking 35, I got a 35. If I want a 28, which is my favorite focal length, I have a 28.
28's your favorite, huh?
Oh yeah, dude.
For shooting just anything?
Well, so like the human eye looked forward is like 27.7
About
millimeters,
28,
roughly 28, right?
Okay.
So like when you see a 28 millimeter image, like the mind
Feels good.
It feels good to the mind, right? And like for me, it feels good to me because I feel like I'm capturing what it is that I was seeing.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's super fun. Like, I mean, every once in a while, like if you gotta like wang something out, you know what I mean? Like it distort something or whatever. It's fun for that too. But like for like just your average like a little toss and like a point and shoot camera, like I'll 28 millimeter all day, every day.
Interesting. I'm gonna have to give it a whirl.
It's fun, man.
I've never really messed with the 28 at all.
Oh, dude,
I'm a 50 or 80, 100 guy. I like the
Yeah.
50, 80, 100. 35 for like that little camera right by you, that
Right
little
here?
AF. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's just like a little 35 millimeter job. But I like that guy. That was a fun little. I rarely get to talk that way to other people about cameras and stuff. But you said something about slowing down earlier, and I will say that my favorite thing about getting the film cameras in my life in 2019 was like it was just, and it makes me shooting. Otherwise, it completely improved my digital photography as well.